Lesson 1-6 Quotients. You need to understand the definition of division. For example, if you have A divided by B, you need to understand that that's the same as A times 1 over B. Or if you have A divided by B with a division sign, that is also the same as A times 1 over B, because whenever you have a division sign, you always flip the reciprocal and multiply. So you would have A times 1 and then a B on the bottom, because this is really a 1 underneath the A. So that's your definition of division. You also have rules for division. If you have a positive number divided by a positive number, you have a positive. If you have a negative divided by a negative, you also have a positive. And if you have a positive divided by a negative or a negative divided by a positive, you will have, for both of these, negative. So those are your rules from division, which I'm sure that you remember from Algebra 1. Example number 1, we have 64 divided by negative 4 divided by negative 2. Because of order of operations, we have to make sure that we do what's in the brackets first. So we have a negative divided by a negative, so we know our answer is going to be positive. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then you have 64 divided by 2, which equals 32. Example number 2. Okay, so we have negative 1/2 divided by 1/4 divided by negative 4. So we're going to take the reciprocal and multiply right here. I'm going to look at this one first. I'm going to go from the left to the right. So I have negative 1/2 times 4 over 1. And we would get negative 4 over 2, which reduces down to be negative 2. So this whole thing right here is now negative 2. So I'm going to have negative 2, and I'm going to take the reciprocal of negative 4 and make it negative 1 over 4. And remember that we just have a denominator of 1, so it's negative 2 times negative 1 is 2, and 1 times 4 is 4, so we have negative 1/2. Final answer. Example number 3 deals with fraction bars. I have 4 squared minus 5 squared all over negative 4 plus negative 5. Whenever you have a fraction bar, you want to do what's on first and fully simplify it, and then deal with what's on the bottom. So let's just pretend that the top's just there by itself. We have to use order of operations, so I'm going to do 4 squared, which is 16, minus 5 squared, which is 25. And that equals negative 9. And now we can look at what's on the bottom. We have negative 4 times negative 5. or excuse me, plus negative 5. So negative 4 plus negative 5 is also negative 9. So negative 9 divided by negative 9 is positive 1. And that is our final answer. Example number 4. You are going to have to evaluate each expression So if I gave you x squared minus 4, x minus 3 over x plus 1, and I told you that x equals 2, and if you had to evaluate this, you would plug in 2 everywhere you saw an x. So let's do that. I'm going to have 2 squared minus 4. And you want to put this 2 in parentheses, especially if it's a negative. If it's not a negative, you don't have to worry so much, but you got to remember to include the negative sign because a negative 2 times a negative 2 is different than negative 2 squared without it being in parentheses. So 2 minus 3 and 2 plus 1. So 2 squared is 4 minus 4. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we know that 4 minus 4 is 0. So we have 0 divided by 3. Now that's okay because that's a 0 divided by a number, which is just 0. What you need to remember is if you have a number divided by 0, that is undefined. It does not exist. Okay, or it doesn't work. So you will get an error in your calculator if you plugged it in. What you want to know here is, let me give you another definition here. If you have A plus B over C, this is just an example, you are allowed to split these up so that you can write it as A over C plus B over C. The only thing you have to remember is that C cannot equal 0. Why do you think that is? Well, if C is 0 on the bottom, and A and B are all numbers that aren't 0, okay, or actually even if they were 0, anything on top here, any number on top, if you divide it by a 0, you would get undefined. So you can't do that. Last one, example number 5. (24 minus 6t squared over 2). Now this looks like the definition I just gave you right here. Okay, so we're allowed to separate these and put a 2 underneath. So we can have 24 divided by 2 minus 6t squared divided by 2. 2 goes into 24 12 times. 2 goes into 6 3 times. And you can't subtract these because there is a variable in it. So you just leave it alone, and this is fully simplified.